I'm 𝗕ance Scaramucci, and welcome to Open Book, where I talk with some of the most interesting and brilliant minds in our world today. Okay, so joining us now on Open Book is John Catsimatidis. He is a dear friend. He's the CEO of the Red Apple Group. He has one of the best rags to riches American dream stories in American history, frankly. And he wrote an amazing book, which I would recommend to everybody. And John, I'm just going to tell you, this is going to be the graduation book from me to high school and college graduates this year. I always pick out one book. The title of the book is How Far Do You Want to Go? Lessons from a Common-Sense Billionaire. John, congratulations on the book. It's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. You've lived the American dream. Take us back to young John arriving from Greece and growing up in West Harlem.
Wow. Well, let me tell you, we both grew up poor. My two grandfathers came to America in 1913, but leave that aside. My father came after World War II, and I was 6 months old. So you got to go to the White House. I can never go to the White House. Okay, I can't be president. Me and Schwarzenegger can't be president. But I grew up on West Harlem by City College. And, I'm chairman of the Police Athletic League and take care of the kids of the inner city. And one of the things I want to do is I wrote the books for the kids of the inner city and to let them know that you can grow up on the poor side of town, but you can make it. And I think we're losing so many young kids. Our education system is in a crapper, and we got to save those kids because that's the future of America. And all those kids need somebody to have their arm around them. Like you said, they need to have hope. And we have to teach them, yes, have hope, but work hard, get a good education, keep your nose clean. And most of those people, I understand the latest number is 70%, are one-parent families.
Yeah.
And they come out of school, and what happens? They come out of school and they have no place to go to. And unless they have we have the Police Athletic League centers, unless they have someplace to go to, they end up hanging around in the pizza shop. Or the old days when me and you were growing up, used to be the candy store, and they get in trouble. And how do we save these kids? So this book, if we give it to high school or college kids, maybe we could save some of them and give them hope that they could make it too. And that's what I usually do at the Police Athletic League. I point at them and said, I made it. I come from this neighborhood. You can make it too. And I think it's a big thing. And the other reason I wrote the book is for my kids and grandkids that I don't have yet, to let them know where they came from and what's the story of who their grandfather was someday. And I thought I had to put it on paper. And look, right now our country is in dire situations. Our city, our state, and our country are in deep crap. And
let me stop you there, though, because I get so many questions for you. But I'm going to ask you about the country right now because we're contemporaries. We're both born in the baby boomer generation. I thought our generation was going to fix things and make things better. We've gone wild, our generation. We're tribal. We're attacking each other viciously. The George W. Bush term ended with $7 trillion of debt. Okay, that's only 15 years ago, John. We have $32 trillion of debt now. What are we doing wrong culturally? And how do we bring back that civic virtue and the civic unity that you love about America and I love about America?
I think it happened in the last 10 years. It started, I believe, under President Obama. And what President Trump did not realize, and you were there a short period of time, was President Obama had put 2,000 of his people that are loyal to his way of life and what he wanted to do. And I have nothing against him, but the fact is he infiltrated every department where he had his own style of things. And I don't know where it's going, but right now our country is in trouble. Look what's happened with the Saudi Arabians. They don't trust President Biden. It's the first time in 50 years or 60 years that they don't trust an American president. And they're aligning themselves. China is creating a new axis of power. Russia, Saudi Arabia now, Turkey, India, Pakistan, Venezuela, Cuba. I mean, they're creating, like when we and you growing up watching James Bond movies, Spectra. I mean, the axis of evil. Well, right now they're lining up and choosing up sides, and they're looking at the problems they have in Israel. I think Republicans and Democrats have to sit down together and say enough is enough. Let's fight for our country. I don't know how they come up with some of the crap on the border is out of control. The fentanyl killing our kids is out of control. What say you?
Well, I think it's I think everything that you just said, but I also think that it has to do with the way we set up the electoral process. So not to bore you because I want to make this about you, but we allowed for these people now to gerrymander their enemies out of their districts, a result of which you create radical fat tails on both sides of the party. We haven't had a constitutional amendment, John, of material constitutional amendment since 1965. We had one in 93, which was procedural, but look at the amendments, 27 amendments, 245-year-old country. You should have an amendment every 8 to 9 years to renew the voice of the American people. But we don't do that anymore. We have a problem with campaign finance. Absolutely do. We have to address it. We have a problem with gerrymandering. Are we in a real democracy if the candidates themselves are actually picking the people that are voting for them? And so this has distorted the system. And we used to fight together. You know, the American military had 35% of the American families were involved with the military in World War II and the Korean War. It's down to 3%. A result of which our nation, you know, the people in Wyoming don't know the people in New York as well as they did. You remember George McGovern and you remember Bob Dole. They didn't have the same ideology, but they served in the American military together. So they had some level of professional respect between themselves. But let's go back to you. It's super important for me to understand your personality because you have one of the most unique gifts. When I run into people and they say, are you friends with John Catsimatidis? I say, well, anybody that knows John Catsimatidis is friends with John Catsimatidis. You have this wonderful way of being loyal to people. You have this wonderful way of doing favors for people in this nonlinear way. You're never looking for anything in return. When I got fired from the White House, you reached out to me. You asked me to speak at the PAL League luncheon, which I graciously accepted. You brought me into your community. You put your arm around me. It's something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Explain to me the temperament of John Catsimatidis and the person that you are and how you think about people.
Well, what I try to teach kids and tell people that you're better off. My job and my inner heart is to make friends every day and make new friends every day. Not like our mutual friend that makes new enemies every day. And he would be a terrific president if he didn't make new enemies every day. I mean, and I don't understand that.
He's not open. John, Trump is not a loyal guy. I mean, let's just be very clear.
Yes.
He's asymmetrically loyal. He'll run you over with a truck. Okay. He could care less about you or anybody in his field of vision. Anybody that worked for him that had their own dough. okay, or had their own career like a general, did not like working for him and thought he was a jackass and had no executive management skills. I mean, this is the facts.
And we both, look, you realized it. It happened to you. It happened to me. I mean, in different ways. But I believe in making new friends every day. I believe that I love people. And one of the reasons my success when I got into the supermarket business and the food business, all my vendors, I wasn't financed by banks. I didn't have a banking background. I didn't have a manager, a business school degree. So I had to do it the hard way. Well, my vendors, the people, the ice cream guy, the milk guy, the grocery guy, they all fell in love with me. And I loved them to back. And guess what? They financed me. John wants to build a new store. Give him more credit. Let him build a new store. And by the age of 23, 24, I had 10 stores that they financed. And I was making $1 million a year. In those days, $1 million a year was a lot of money. And it's relationships, whether it's bankers, vendors, whatever, friends. People like people that they could love each other and have a good relationship with each other. They don't like arrogant son of a bitches. They don't like people that think they're God's gift to the world. And if the kids that read my book learn that by itself, then that's going to help them in life. And that's what it's all about. And so me and you, 𝗕cie, we have a mission to help the next generation.
Look, I love you. I mean, I love everything that you're saying. And I think I told you this years ago. I started at 𝗕cie Food. The guy that owned the 𝗕cie Food was a guy named Lou Campanelli. He was out here on Long Island. He couldn't have been a better boss than me. And he gave me a lot of values about having to share things and bringing people into the team. Let's talk about the Ferry Hawks for a second. What are the Ferry Hawks? And what's your involvement with them?
My God. When I hit 70 years old, I wanted to have fun. It wasn't about buying companies to make money. It was about getting involved in companies to have a little bit of fun in life. And the first thing I did, I bought WABC Radio.
Right.
And what I just wrote a check, I just bought it. And believe me, I am having a lot of fun and getting the truth out. And getting the truth out is very important to me. I believe in Walter Cronkite. 92% of the American people loved Walter Cronkite. But when you tell the kids Walter Cronkite, they don't know who he is.
Right, that's true.
Now, the Ferry Hawks, if the New York Yankees called you up and said, we want you to be our partner, what would you say?
I'm in. I would say
I'm in.
Right.
So that's what I said.
Right.
The New York Yankees called me. They were starting a new quasi-minor league team from the Atlantic League in Staten Island. And I became a partner. And I'm having a lot of fun. And we finished the first season. We were a little bit rusty. But for the second season, we are ready to play ball. And I hope you throw out the first pitch when we throw out.
Anytime you invite me, I'll be there. And I've been working on my arm, by the way, because the Mets need a closer. So I've been working on my arm. Hopefully Steve Cohen will call me in.
We can't get you to the Mets, but we can get you to we can get you to be a pitcher in Yankee Stadium.
Oh, there you go. There's it. How about your ownership group? You got Colin Jost, Michael Che, Pete Davidson. They're all in your ownership group. Of course, Pete's from Staten Island. What do you think of these SNL celebs that are part of your ownership team?
Well, there's two main owners right now. It's me. We own 42.5%. Right. And Eric Schiffler, who's a New Jersey guy, he owns 42.5%. The Yankees own 15%. So that group of SNL people are part of the Yankees 15%. And they were there to help promote the Ferry Hawks. And I'm taking over marketing this season. I think the Ferry Hawk Stadium is a beautiful stadium. It's in Staten Island. You can take the ferry. You can take the ferry, the Staten Island ferry, and be right behind the stadium. And it costs you free from Manhattan to get to the stadium. It's a great stadium. The city just put in all brand new seats.
So we're gonna. I mean, look, I gotta get there. Of course, the Staten Island ferry is free. We got to get Michael Che, also from Staten Island, and Colin Jost, also from Staten Island, with Pete Davidson out to the stadium. I only have a couple more minutes with you, so I wanna play the game that I play with all of my authors. Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 words, and I'd like you to react to them in a quick fire fashion. Okay, ready? Let's start with President Clinton.
I love the guy. I think he was a common sense guy. I used to work for him, and he had common sense. And when I used to run those dinners for him in Washington, I had Democrats and Republicans. Both. Nobody walked out of those dinners, 20 dinners, 25,000 apiece. Nobody walked out dissatisfied. They walked out loving the guy. That's the difference between him and others.
Okay. Donald Trump.
Smart guy, but personality-wise, he doesn't love people. He works hard, and he wants to do the right job. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, fair enough. Because I know you still have a good relationship with him, as you should. But we know that there are some executive deficits there. Let's go with the word Democrats. Democrats.
I was a Democrat under Bill Clinton. I worked very hard for him to become for his second term, and I worked very hard for Hillary to become U.S. Senator. In the year, whatever it was, right after the presidency of Bill Clinton. Common sense Democrats are good people. The only problem with common sense Democrats, they haven't had the testicles to stand up against the bizarro Democrats. And the bizarro Democrats can take in the Democratic Party down the sewer, and I detest that.
Republicans.
Extreme left or extreme right in our country is wrong. I believe that everybody should sit around a round table and work things out the old-fashioned way. And my 5 o'clock WABC show will become #1. Why? We have common sense Democrats, common sense Republicans. We yell at each other, scream at each other, and guess what? At 6 o'clock at the end of the show, we hug each other. And another example is Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich hate each other, but they sat down as Americans and made a deal. The deficit was $5.5 trillion, and at the end of their term, they worked together. It went down to $5 trillion. Is that unbelievable?
Yeah, no, listen, I tell people that all the time. We had a budget surplus in 2000, and the Congressional Budget Office had it targeted for a $5 trillion surplus. George Bush made a decision to go to war. I'm not saying that was a bad decision. We can debate it today. But at the time, it looked like it was an okay decision. But he didn't. He's the first U.S. president to go to war, John, without a tax increase. First U.S. president.
Who were we talking about? The son?
No, George W.
The son or the Holy Ghost?
No, George W. Bush went to war. He cut taxes in March of 2001. Clinton told him not to cut the taxes. He won the election. He said to harvest the surplus, and he cut the taxes. And then he went to war. And instead of raising taxes going into the war, he left the taxes where they were.
Anthony, George W. Bush was a loyal, patriotic, great American.
No, I have a lot of respect for him.
But I got a but. Is this my fifth question? You're welcome to have more.
You're getting there.
But he listened to his guys. Who was two main guys? Cheney
and
Rumsfeld. And they took him down the wrong road. And they took him down the wrong road, and it hurt America. We got rid of Saddam Hussein, which was the balance factor of keeping Iran in checks and balances. And remember one of the most honest presidents we had, Eisenhower. And what did he say when he's leaving office? Beware of what? Beware of the industrial military complex.
Yes.
And Cheney and Rumsfeld, all they wanted to do, they didn't care who died, they didn't care what they did, is make sure all their military companies were making a ton of money. But, use more missiles, use more bullets, use more this. And I thought it was wrong. I believe if there's a peaceful solution, that it's better.
So, last word of the 5 words. And after reading your book, you can go a little long on this one. America, John.
America, I love America. I'm an immigrant. I remember when I was 6 years old, I went down and swore allegiance to the flag and the United States of America and got my American citizenship papers when I was 6 years old. What the heck is going on with these borders right now? I believe in immigration. But right now, we got open borders, which is horrible because there are terrorists coming in, drug dealers coming in, there are bad people coming in. I used to run with our old friend. Remember our old friend, Bill Fugazi?
Yes, sure. I love Bill.
We ran the Ellis Island Foundation together. And Ellis Island was people came through and you were checked for diseases. You were checked. You were asked to pledge allegiance to the United States of America. You know what I said to all the U.S. senators that come through my office? I said to them, why don't we have 4 or 5 Ellis Islands along the Texas coast or along the Arizona or along New Mexico? Immigration, yes. But let's find out who's coming and going. I mean, it's horrible. And our borders are under attack. Our people are under attack with fentanyl and killing 100,000 citizens a year. And our universities are for sale. And it's horrible. So I had a U.S. senator last week in my office, and we had a long discussion. And you know what I was scared of? That 2076 is our United States of America 300th year. We're not going to make it if we don't take things under control. And me and you will survive because we're not going to be here in 2076. But our kids, our grandkids, and hopefully our great-grandkids, we want them to have the same way of life as the United States of America. And the last word, there's 8 billion people in the world. 5.5 billion are under dictatorship rule, under communist rule, etc. 2.5 billion is part of the United States of America, Japan, Australia, most of South America, Europe, NATO, and they depend on President Joe Biden for leadership. Well, we're in deep crap because we're in deep crap. And if we lose the leadership in Washington, look at Saudi Arabia. If they start to lose the confidence in Washington, well, how was it in James Bond movies? Spectre will win.
I'm with you, man. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate your honesty and your patriotism. What's next for you? What are we doing next?
Well,
you bought a sports team. You bought a radio station. What are we doing next?
Maybe we should buy a movie studio. We'll make movies together.
You want to do that?
Yeah, why not?
I gotta be in some of these movies. I still got my hair, Catsimatidis. I gotta.
Well, I got most of my hair, but I'm short in the front.
You know, the only
You got a
problem
better barber. Your
is I
hair's
want
dark.
you and I to play mobsters, okay? I want to play moguls. I don't want to play mobsters. You know?
All right, we'll make Wall Street 4.
John, best-selling book. How far do you want to go? Lessons from a Common-Sense Billionaire. It is a Wall Street Journal bestseller, and it is the open book graduation gift for this year. Thank you so much for being on, John.
Thank you. We're in the Wall Street Journal in the top 10 right now. You know what I tell my friends? Buy it, give it to young people, give it to college people. Let them be a success too, like you and me.
All right. God bless you, man.